everybody, this is Tim W. Leathertachi 1996, and welcome to Season 4, Episode 2 of Godzilla Effects. Now, last week we left off at 2014, brand new rebirth of Godzilla. Well, now Japan does their own rebirth of Godzilla with Shin Godzilla from 2016. Now, with this movie, I'm going to say it right now, this movie literally plays off as, okay, this is Toho saying, okay, everybody, screw and forget everything you know about Godzilla. Forget all of that. Because this movie literally throws everything out the window and back in the ocean. This is a wacky, it's not a wacky Godzilla movie, it's awesome. And number 2 on my top 7 favorites. I wonder if all this time you guys have been keeping track of that. But yes, this movie is a complete new rebirth of the King of the Monsters, and starting with his design, okay, I don't know what to say about it. It's like, his design here on the poster, it makes him look a little more threatening, a little more scary, actually, than previous incarnations of him. It makes him look like how they say, like it says on the movie cover, and how one female character says it in the movie, a god incarnate. And truly, this version of Godzilla really has that, because literally, this Godzilla is just evil. I mean, he is he's just as evil as he was in GMK. But in all honesty, I am flatting out giving this movie straight up a 10 out of 10. And look, the first Godzilla movie with no effects cons. Yeah, seriously, this Godzilla movie has 0 effects cons in its nearly 2-hour runtime. And when I mean 2 hours, I literally mean this movie is 1 hour and 58 minutes. Yes, I have actually checked out the time duration. Now, one interesting thing that they have for Godzilla is his new backstory in this movie is that he evolves. He evolves from these tiny little sea creatures that are the size of a goldfish or something like that. And then here, as the screenshot shows, is Godzilla's second form. Now, his second form, it just looks like a giant, either a salamander or a lungfish or something like that. It's just really odd, and it has these little arm stubs and walks around with his back legs, and like the first evolution of Godzilla in this movie, it's just sorry everybody. Sorry about that, folks. Anyway, this first evolution of Godzilla is really interesting. It has this really wide-eyed look. Like its eye, it never blinks the whole time, which kind of adds to the creepiness. And its there's blood, literally gallons of blood that spill out of its gills when it walks. So the way they explain Godzilla in this movie is that he's still evolving. He continuously evolves with every present situation, and I really like that. In all honesty, I really do, because it gives Godzilla a more, I don't know, like, it's not animalistic, but I guess you can call it animalistic or something. But this version is just. It just goes out there a little bit. And then here is the third form. And I love the fact, one thing I gotta really give it to the creators of this movie. Now, once again, like GMK, we have a Godzilla movie that was made from an outside source. And what I mean by that is the 2 directors of this movie were behind... I don't know if both of the directors were, or if just one of them was, but this is coming from the creator of Evangelion, which is basically Pacific Rim before Pacific Rim, like an anime Pacific Rim before there was a Pacific Rim. So yeah, this is the guy this is coming from the creator or creators, I'm not sure, of that, behind Evangelion. And I've seen one of the movies. It's an alright movie, but I'm not here to talk about that. Anyways, now one thing I do gotta hand it to the directors: the main effects highlights. There's a lot of them. One is the fact that Godzilla in this movie is completely CG. Yeah, he is all CGI in this movie, despite coming from Japan. He's all CG. Now, in the original 28, we've seen scenes of Godzilla in the Millennium era in season 3. There were scenes of him that were completely CGI, but that's only about 0.1, maybe 0.01% of the movie. Not, and then the rest of the time, at least 0.1% of the total movie, and then the rest of the time it's a guy in a suit. Well, in this movie, he's all CG, completely all the way through. It doesn't look like he's CGI. In all honesty, it doesn't look like it. But see, that's the thing. The CGI is super good. Truly, this movie has some seriously damn good CG, damn good CGI, and another highlight that I really, well, before I talk about that, before I talk about what I was gonna say, the way they pulled off Godzilla was motion capture. They actually did motion capture for him in this movie, and apparently, this is the first time that motion capture was ever used in Japan for a monster movie. And I must say, the fact that somebody still played as Godzilla, whether it be suit or mocap, it's still great. Like, this movie, like I said, flat out, I don't know if I've said this yet, but this movie flat out score gets a 10 out of 10. And I keep on saying this, I know I keep saying it, but Godzilla fans who still have not seen this movie yet really need to watch it. Really need to see this movie, because it's the year 2020, and I know there are some awesome nerds out there like myself who, well, I'm not new to Godzilla, but I know there's some new nerds coming out, and you want to get into Godzilla, everybody, those folks will definitely give this movie a watch. So, I'm sorry, this movie was just awesome. And one thing, the next effects highlight that I was going to talk about earlier, but I had to talk about the mocap, was the sound effects. The sound effects, and I know I don't talk about music so much. I kind of have throughout this entire series here, but the music and the sound effects are straight out of the original 28 movies. Like, I understand they redid the sounds, to make them, to update the sound effects and the music a little more. But when you listen to it, it's something straight out of the original 28 films, especially Godzilla's second form here, when he grows arms and and the giant salamander-looking thing stands up. Oh my god, I will say that. I'm sorry I keep stopping myself, but this form makes the original 1954 roar when he stands up. It's such a nostalgia. This movie's just one nostalgia moment after another. And it plays music from 1954, it plays the Rodan theme in the credits, and it plays the original 1954 theme song in the end credits. What was it? And then it plays a song from, like, this military march that was in 1954, and then they redid the song for Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, and then they played the song again in GMK. So yeah, the fact that, like, they played that song again is amazing. And then also, it was a big shocker in the credits, actually, so I haven't watched this in a while, but in the end credits, they actually play Mechagodzilla's theme song from 1993. Dead serious. They actually play 90s Mecha G's theme song in the end credits. And the explosion sound effects are all the explosions from the OG franchise that ran from 1954 to 1975. All the explosion sounds are all from that. Mainly, it's the sound effects for the explosion sounds in Destroy All Monsters. But, oh my god, was that crazy that they used the original sound effects for a movie that came out in the year 2016 here. I don't know if I said the year yet. But yeah, this movie came out in the year 2016. Now, oh, and also one last song I have to mention is they play Godzilla's theme song from 1975. Yeah, 1975. They play that theme song. So all the music is just one big thing of nostalgia, and his roars from the original 28. Like, seriously, just everything about this movie, and the fact it's absolute absolute perfect, because of the fact that there's no effects cons, like amazing CG. I mean, the CGI, the fact that Godzilla was completely CGI in this movie is crazy, and a lot of the city destruction scenes, a lot of them, they did use practical effects. They really did use practical effects for the movie. They had little miniature sets that they destroyed, and then they just added in Godzilla afterwards. So they still had some practical destruction scenes, like little miniatures that they destroyed and then they added in Godzilla later. And then there's one little effect shot where they had a small flood down a street, and the flood itself was a miniature done on a little mini set with green screens, but then with CG they put it on top of a real street. And one thing actually I do have to mention there's some deleted scenes out of this movie that I really wish they would have kept in the movie. Yeah, this whole shot here is completely, CGI, but let me talk about this before I talk about the military assault. Now, one thing I do have to say, the deleted scenes are great effects shots, like, that should have so been kept in this movie. Like, they have one with his third form, when he first stands up on his hind legs, where when there's this point where he stands still, where the choppers are getting ready to shoot him, but then there were civilians in the way, so they couldn't shoot. But he just stands there, like, perfectly still, which is really interesting. And then there's supposed to be an effect shot where he literally throws up blood, and the blood is basically like acid, and it starts melting all the cars and everything in sight. No, yeah, it was a very odd scene, but I really wish they would have kept it in there, because it would have been something like, I don't know, for a new rebirth of Godzilla, it would have been something a little fresh and new. But it's throwing up blood, so it sounds gross, and even the behind the scenes footage, it looks gross, but in all honesty, they really should have kept it in the movie. And the other effect shot that I think is really interesting is Godzilla in his fourth form, crawling on all fours on the ground. Now, I'm like 50, I know I said they should have kept the deleted scenes in the movie, but I'm kind of 50-50 with that one, because Godzilla crawling on the ground, I don't know really what to say about that, so I'm actually kind of 50-50 with that one, with that shot. And then those are the only two deleted scenes that I can really think of. And and one thing they actually did try to use practical effects for Godzilla, because they had a large puppet of him from the waist up. It looked amazing, but they said it didn't move naturally, or didn't move smoothly enough, so they went with all CG. So yeah, I think it was a wise alteration, actually, because this movie, the execution is just amazing. And looking at these screenshots, it's like, when you look at it, it's like, oh my god, he was full on CG. That is some really good CGI. Now, the one thing that I really do love is the scene where the military does this full assault on Godzilla. Every Godzilla movie, when you have the scenes with the military shooting at him, it's like, military doesn't do jack shit to giant monsters, but having the scenes with the military, it's a really cool tradition with monster films, so it makes the movie more fun to watch, really. And when the military helicopters shoot at him, you hear all the bullets bouncing off his skin, and it sounds a little metallic when they shoot at him, which is really weird. But he just keeps walking forward, and the bullets and tanks keep shooting at him, and it doesn't do him any good. But then he kicks up a huge section of the bridge and knocks the military off with one hit. One hit from him wipes out and cripples the military, but over 60,000 rounds of machine gun fire and tank shells combined didn't leave a single scratch on him. He even takes multiple hits directly to his face, and he still walks out of it fine. So yeah, this Godzilla is just a little, I would say, overpowered, but in all honesty, this one is just wow. Oh, and then you have this. Every Godzilla movie, you have to have his atomic breath. You have to. But one thing, though, is Godzilla actually, from his skin in the front, he doesn't get injured. But from when United States military, actually, yes, the U.S., the Americans, there are some American actors in this movie. There's a point where these military bombers, they shoot bombs into Godzilla's back, and quite literally, when they blow up, they actually blow some of his dorsal fins off. No joke. They actually blow off some of a couple of his dorsal fins. And he gets so pissed, and he does this when his atomic breath scene is just freaking good. The song they play to it, Who Will Know, it goes so perfectly. Everything about this movie just works. It all works together. And when he opens his mouth, his bottom jaw can split in half, which is really interesting. So it's like, huh, okay, that's new. And then when Godzilla's atomic breath comes up, you have nothing but it's like he's spitting up magma, like a firebomb, or like a one-man firebomb, and literally just obliterates a huge chunk of the city in front of him. But then the fire slowly melts into this purple beam of concentrated photons, they call it, quite literally, that literally cuts down every building in front of him. He wipes out a whole... See, there's the beam. And then he... Oh my god, he has a couple more things in his arsenal. One thing other than his purple beam, I don't know if anyone's caught it, but his eyes actually have this protective little covering to them, I guess. This little covering that shields his eyes so the heat doesn't burn his eyes. Which, you know what, in all honesty, I really like that. That's fresh and new. Something he's never done before. And then... I can't believe I couldn't get a screenshot of the last two things in his arsenal. He can shoot beams out of his back plates, and he shoots a beam out of his tail. I'm not kidding. I'm not joking. He literally shoots beams out of his back and a beam out of his tail. Now, wow. That's just... Okay, since when can Godzilla do that? It's just a crazy thing that happens when his atomic breath comes, and then the tail beam is revealed, like at the end of the movie when they do one last when the military has this last-ditch attempt to get rid of Godzilla by shooting at him and pissing him off and making him spend all of his energy, so they can pump this. No, it's not it's like CO2, I think. No, it's not CO2. It's like this blood coagulating agent that literally freezes Godzilla and completely immobilizes him. And while he's freezing, he does the 1984 roar. So, yeah, a lot of all-time sound effects in this movie. And the ending to the movie is really interesting because here, okay, well, you see Godzilla in the background there. Oh, and I will say this human character, Rando Yaguchi, he is literally the best human character out of this entire movie. In all honesty, he's awesome. He's a really good character, personally, to me personally. And yeah, yeah, I'm just saying it now, folks. Shin Godzilla is just a seriously damn good Godzilla film. All around, Shin Godzilla is a really great movie. Well, Shin Godzilla. I know I keep saying I know I said Gojira just then, but it goes by two titles, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, Shin Godzilla is a damn good Godzilla movie. I recommend it to anybody really. Any fans of science fiction and monster movies, I'd recommend it to. And the ending to this movie is very interesting because they do this thing. They have this shot where it cuts to Godzilla after a couple of shots with Yaguchi here, and it's a time skip because if you look closely at Godzilla in this screenshot, his tail is plain, right? But then it does this odd time skip where it jumps ahead. It does this odd like time skip that goes forward, and well, obviously time skip, you know. And then it zooms in on his tail, and there's these weird things coming out of his tail that are guessed to be like Godzilla's fifth form or something like that, and it's basically Godzilla mixed with the Xenomorph. They're the Godzilla Xenomorph looking things coming out of his tail. And they are, let me get back, yeah. And they were not moving, so I guess either they froze or they're sleeping or something, but this movie really opens up for like a brand new Godzilla timeline or Godzilla universe to explore, a new story angle with him, with the King of the Monsters or something. But overall, Shin Godzilla is a definitely great Godzilla movie. No effects cons whatsoever. Damn good CGI. Amazing special effects. Yeah. That's really all I got to say about Shin Godzilla here. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry about that, folks. I'm getting ready to go to work here as I'm finishing up this... yeah, sorry. Blah. I'm getting ready to go to work here as I'm finishing up this review. So, yeah, please subscribe to... So, yeah, you've heard my score and recommendation, 10 out of 10, you know, and... So, yeah, please hit me up a like and subscribe to not only my channel here, but to the Movie Reviews Library and Megas Dragon for the logo. For the new Season 4 logo. You know how it all goes. Alright, so this is Tim W. Well, yeah, well, the links to the Movie Reviews Library and Megas Dragon will be in the description below, so, yeah, this is Tim W. Leather Tachi 1996, and I will see you all next week when I tackle the anime trilogy, everybody.